स्लाइड में कहाँ जा हाँ रिकॉर्ड में दिया है ना अच्छा अभी नो स्लाइड भाई साहब स्लाइड तो चेंज करने के लिए इसको नहीं आता नहीं है जगह so today we'll be talking about the fracture or what are different types of fracture. So first thing you have to define fracture. The fracture is a break in the continuation of the bone. So fracture is a break in the continuation of the bone. So how do you define fracture? Whenever there is a break in the continuation, we term it as fracture. Now there are certain classification about the fractures. We'll talk the classification of fracture today. First thing, the definition. This is clear. Then how do you classify? We can classify the fracture on the basis of the morphology, on the basis of the etiology, on the basis of the clinical examination. So how we can do it? So first thing, let us talk about the morphological classification. Means how the fracture is happening and what is the fracture morphology. So this can be termed as transverse fracture, oblique fracture, spiral fracture, comminuted fracture, segmental fracture, compression and green stick fracture. So these are the various classification. So these are the various morphological types of fracture. Now we'll talk one by one. What is this? First thing, transverse, oblique, spiral, comminuted, segmental, compression, and stick fracture. So these are the classification of morphological classification. Next to that, these are the examples. See? So what is a transverse fracture? If the fracture is happening to the long axis like this transversely, perpendicularly, then it is a transverse fracture. While the fracture line is a bit oblique, we say it is oblique fracture. Then again, if it is a spiral type of fracture, this is a spiral fracture. That means while there is a twisted fracture, twisted injury that leads to your fracture like this is called spiral fracture. Then again, this is a comminuted fracture. While that to have the fracture, you must have at least 2 fragments. But here, if there is more than 2 fragments, we say it is a comminuted fracture. Then if this fracture is happening in 2 different places, see, in case of tibia, here, one fracture is here, another fracture is here, we name it as your segmental fracture. Sometimes we get the compression type fracture. Since somebody is falling from height, particularly, that may lead to your reduction of the height of the vertebra. Many times, a person is falling from tree, person is falling from your height, person is falling from the electrical post, that needs to be your compression. So these are the different types of fracture. Now another type of a fracture is called green stick fracture. Green stick fracture, particularly in the case of children, will find that the fracture is not a complete one. This is like you're bending a green tree, a branch of tree. If you try to bend it, you will find it is not breaking, but even it is incomplete. There is incomplete indentation is called incomplete fracture. That is called green stick fracture. So how this fracture can happen? These are the morphological classifications. Then another classification is how the fracture is happening. This may because of some trauma, injury as well. Sometimes a lot of traffic accident is taking place. Sometimes cruel assault is there that leads to a fracture. This is a quite common phenomenon. But to know it more, then you will know that there is a fracture. Is it because of the direct trauma or it may be because of the indirect trauma? Sometimes some pathological condition may weaken the bone to such an extent that a trivial fall may lead to a fracture. Like if you are falling every time on the bathroom or anywhere, you are not going to have a fracture there. But in a case when the bone is too weak, it may lead to a fracture there because some pathology already weakened the bone. Now, another is called stress fracture. We'll talk. Stress fracture is not a very common fracture. If the person is doing some unaccustomed work for a long time, which is not familiar to it, supposing somebody is dancing for a long time and he has not the habit of dance, that may lead to some sort of microfracture which is not evident in normal X-ray. So this is your etiological. Before that, it is morphological, transverse, oblique, spiral, commuted, segmental, compression, and green strip fracture. It is called etiological point of view, how the fracture can take place. These are the causes. So traumatic, as I said, one is called direct trauma, another is called indirect trauma. Somebody is hitting someone with a stick, falling directly on the bone, that may lead to a direct trauma. On the other hand, something it may happen that this impact of the force is traveling to by some other media, that may lead to your indirect trauma. Indirect trauma. That's one is called direct, another is called indirect. So this is the example of direct trauma, where the person is being hit by two vehicles, may lead to your fracture here somewhere because of direct trauma. But indirect trauma, you see, that may happen here, that is because of violent spasm of this muscle here, there may be fracture with patella. Here it is not because of direct trauma, because of the indirect trauma may lead to your fracture of the patella. So that is called indirect trauma. The another is called your stress fracture. Stress fracture is not a common phenomenon. Supposing Sneha was asked by someone to dance. Sneha does not have any experience of dance for a long time, but on that day she danced for a long time. That may lead to your overstress of the bone, may finally land up with some sort of fractures, which is not a common phenomenon. This is mostly seen in the newly recruited military person who is recruited and been put for a rigorous exercise, may lead to this sort of your summation of the fractures. And in this case, it's interesting that the X-ray is very silent. If you do the X-ray of this patient, you do not find any sort of fracture there. This is being seen only in case of CT scan or in case of MRI only. Pathological fracture, already I discussed. There are some other conditions which a trivial fall is leading to your compression of fractures, which is not common. It may because of some developmental problem in the developmental age group, like the condition caused in osteogenesis imperfecta, fibrous dysplasia. So where there is inherent pathology is there, the inherent pathology is there in the bone. Then there may infective condition called corneal osteomyelitis, which is weaken the bone, and that's a lead to your fracture. A metabolic like osteoporosis. Osteoporosis, you know, the weakening of the bone. करना होगा क्या? कितना लोग आया है? ठीक है, होगा. Very good. So pathological fracture, that is called pathological fracture. This is the example of pathological fracture where the condition has already weakened the bone to such extent that the trivial fall has led to your fracture. That is called pathological fracture. There is a fracture, another classification is known as the clinical classification, where the fracture is being classified on the basis of the characteristic. Like one fracture is there where the skin is intact and is covered and it is not opening to the outer side. So this is called closed fracture. On the other hand, if it is happening so that the bone is coming out, that may lead to a condition which is called compound fracture. So that is a clinical classification where one condition where the fracture is happening but the skin is not broken. But one condition where the fracture is exposed to external environment is called open fracture. So this open fracture is being again subclassified by gradings. That is not important for you, but for the nomenclature only, that the Gastillo and Anderson classification is here, which can subclassify the compound fracture. But this is not very important for you, but important for postgraduate and other. So displacement is a condition where the fracture may be there in alignment, but there is no displacement. That is called undisplaced fracture. On the other hand, if the displacement is taking place where the fragment is going away from the alignment, that is called displaced fracture. One is called undisplaced fracture, and is called displaced fracture. Then this is an example of an undisplaced. There is a complete fracture here, but here you will find displacement is there because here this is undisplaced. This is called displaced fracture. So this location, now this is about the fracture. How we define fracture. How do you classify fractures? What is called clinical classification? What is called morphological classification? What is called etiological classification? Etiological means how the cause is happening. Clinical, what do you see? If the fracture is open, open fracture. If it is closed, closed fracture. So this is in nutshell about the fracture. Now little bit of about this is a general subject topic. Actually, I am not specifically talking any fractures specifically, but you must know what is called fracture, what are different types of fractures, and also to some extent you supposed to know about the dislocation also. Dislocation is a conditions where one component of the bone is being displaced from the other. So this is a dislocation. Suppose in a ball and socket type of joint, hip joint, this is inside, the ball is moving. But if somehow it is going away, so this is a dislocation. On the other hand, in some conditions it completely go out, some conditions it may be halfway. So this is called subluxation. You see? So that is so your gland cavity here, this is here. It is going out, this is here. So this is called shoulder dislocation. So a subluxation is partial dislocation, means it is happening partially. That is why it is called partial dislocation. So that means joint is still not completely out, but partially it is out, partially it is in. This is called incomplete reduction, incomplete dislocation or subluxation. So this is a condition of subluxation. So it's a part of the head is instead of moving out, but part is still there. So this is a subluxation. On the other hand, if the uterus come out away, this will call dislocation. So in management, you know that initial management first step is basically that you want to immobilize the bone, and that is the various techniques by which you can immobilize the bone initial trauma. But subsequently, that will be depending upon the fractures, and specific treatment will be given later on, either by application of plaster or application of your various operative technique. So you have two types of technique. One is called non-operative technique. One is called operative. What is this? Here you are doing all these plasters and things and other things. This is non-operative, where you do not do operation for the fracture. On the other hand, this fracture can be managed by operative technique. So these are. So this is your plaster application technique. The very example of the plaster is shown over here. This is without operation. That means this is called conservative treatment. We name it as conservative treatment. On the other hand, do you have various types of your operative technique where you can do various types, the internal fixation with wires. Sometimes you are doing external fixation from outside. Sometimes you go inside the nail. There is a tibia, you are putting nail inside, and also plate. So these are the various modalities of your fixation by operative technique. One from external, others your internal. This is by pin, sometimes by nail, sometimes by even plate. So plate, nail, and so all these are operative technique by which you do the fixation depending upon the need. So subsequently you have to reevaluate the persons. Many a time patients develop some stiffness and rotting. So you have to address it by the process of your physiotherapy and exercises, which can help the person to regain back his own strength and mobility. So in nutshell, actually, I am not talking anything specific today intentionally, that this is a general topic we have covered. Then how do you define fractures? What are the different types of your classification of the fractures? What is a clinical classification? Morphological classification means you have to take the X-ray and see how the fracture is happening. Be it is a transverse fracture, oblique fracture, segmental fracture, comminuted fracture, wedge fracture, or the compression fracture, or green stick fracture. So many fractures are there. So that is a morphological. Clinically, you have to define whether it is closed or open type of fracture. So likewise, also the dislocation and subluxation, what is called dislocation, subluxation, and moreover, you know that their flexure may be displaced or it may not be displaced. It may be undisplaced or remaining in the same state position, another where it is displaced to any direction. So depending on, but displacement is always being talked on the basis of the proximal fragment. What is the relative position of the distal fragment in relation to the proximal fragment is called displacement. So that is displacement. In nutshell, this is your basic idea of the fractures. Last class we had discussed about the history, and today's class is basically in nutshell what is called fracture, what are different classification of the fractures, and how grossly you can manage it by two ways. One is called conservative, another is called operative. Conservative mostly by plasters, and operative mostly by the restrictive. So we end here today. We'll talk about later on in the specific cases later on, specific fractures. So today only to give the introductions of the various types of fracture, definition, and also dislocation and subluxation. So we close here for today. We'll let you know in subsequent class again. Sir, आज के लिए इसको बंद कर दे. आपका कोई भार्गव किबा खुदिबा আছে নেকি?
Sir, নাই.
নাই ন আজি মানে তোমাৰ স্পেসিফিক এইকেইটা কথাই কলো পিছত আমি বাৰু পিছত কম দেই ঠিক আছে
হয় স্যার
close I have requested him to take the class again. Let's go.